have a property tour, shall we? Brian Lebo here, and today we got something just a little bit different for you. So today we are in the historic Las Vegas district, and we're in Rancho Bel Air. Now, think of this as the Beverly Hills in Las Vegas in the 1970s, well before Green Valley and way before Summerlin was even a thing. So before we had these beautiful suburban areas where all the affluent money tended to go, this was the epicenter, and this is an amazing, amazing property that's been completely reimagined and remodeled. So today, let me show you what they've done to the remodel, and let me point out some of the finishes. But like we normally do, we're going to start off in the kitchen and talk about the flooring along the way. So the entire main floor of this property consists of very modern white oak engineered hardwood, and this has been scraped with a wire brush, so it has a little bit more of a texture to the veneer and is really, really modern and beautiful. So here we are in the kitchen, and we always start off talking about the island first. So here we have this 10-foot long, beautiful island that's made out of Caesar stone quartz. So very elegant, very upscale, very, very popular. And of course, you can't have any modern design without the obligatory waterfall return. So we do have double waterfall returns on both sides of the island. What I love what they did is with the custom cabinetry on the apron side of the island, you have tons of usable space right in front of all the bar stool seating. So while here they have 4 bar stool seats, you could actually squeeze in another one and have 5 areas for sitting. So wonderful and practical at the same time. Coming down a little bit farther, first we'll talk about the refrigerator. So here we have a really cool 48-inch decor refrigerator. Love how modern this is. It's kind of like a dark stainless steel interior. Really cool, kind of like the Dark Saber if you're a Star Wars nerd. Coming down a little bit farther, let's talk about the cabinetry. So we have custom cabinetry throughout the entire home, modern shaker style, and this is more of a contemporary home, I would say. A little bit less on the modern minimal design, more that California coastal style that's really in vogue right now. Again, more of that Caesar stone for the counter surface, and it extends onto the backsplash. What's really kind of neat and a detail you wouldn't notice unless you were here is inside the cabinets here that are accented with the glass panes, we do have a beautiful marble inlay with some kind of like a rose gold foil. Really beautiful, and this has illumination. We've turned the illumination off because it actually strobes depending on what the video frequency is, so we'll save you guys from having a stroke over there. Now, coming down a little bit further, we'll talk about the stove area. So here we have our Thermador 60-inch gas professional stove, and of course above it we have the matching ventilation hood, and here they've sheathed it with a beautiful plaster finish. I know some of you guys are going to complain. I know we don't have the pot filler, so I know how tough it is to go from here to here. But hey, that's your ab workout, right? You know, you do your side to sides. All right, coming back to the island, we'll start off here. We do have our built-in microwave, so I'll hit you with the ooh, and hit you with the ah sound. And you know, I've said before, a lot of times people wonder why the microwave is so low. If you do have children, this is a lot safer, so you don't have to worry about them taking something out of the microwave that's really hot and spilling it. So nice and safe implementation. We have a beautiful undermount sink. We have dual faucets, really great. But 2 things I love about this island. One, using man brain, we are directly in front of the television display. So when you're in the kitchen, not only are you able to be part of the conversation with people that are in the family room, but you can also see the television very easily from the kitchen. And directly above us is a massive, massive skylight. I believe the property has 2 skylights, and this is one of them. But I love how much natural light you get in kind of a little bit of an ode to the 70s because this home was built in 1970. So really, really neat. So coming down a little bit farther, we have that symmetry for the glass there. And you know what time it is if you've been watching my videos for a while. I'm sorry. We don't have a pot filler, and we only have 1 dishwasher, which is a Thermador. But do we? There might be another one lurking here, and count to like 5 seconds. All right, coming down around this corner, we have an entire chef's kitchen. So this is really neat. And what I was alluding to right here, we actually do have 2 dishwashers. So we have the matching Thermador dishwasher part of the chef's kitchen, but really, really close. We have the same undermount sink. We have the same hardware for the faucets. And this is really, really neat. So this actually slider system will articulate out. So if you are having a party, an event, you can pass drinks through here. Really, really neat. I've got everything buttoned up because it's over 100 degrees today. And you don't need to see me sweating on film quite just yet. Now, coming back into this chef's kitchen, there's a few things I really, really love. So from this perspective, when you're looking down the hallway, I love that you can see the custom cabinetry, the brass hardware, and even the ceiling here is a very similar white oak as the flooring. It just hasn't been brushed with wire, so it's a little bit of a smoother substance. The other thing that I love is I love what they did with the backsplash. So the original incarnation of the home had a lot of brick that had been painted white. And I don't know if this was deliberate or not, but I love that they kept a little bit of an ode to the original structure. And here you have kind of a rustic brick backsplash, something that you would find in an upscale wine bar, Italian restaurant. I really, really love the vibe back here. Really, really neat. All right, coming down a little bit farther in the chef's kitchen, we have another microwave and we have an oven, which is also a steam oven. So really good if you're health conscious. Over here, we have our 24-inch Decor wine chiller. So keep all of your bottles right in here, really neat. And we even have an additional refrigerator. You know, for the poor folks out there like I grew up, this is what we call the beer fridge. But I'm sure this is just your auxiliary refrigeration. So, but wonderful, wonderful implementation, wonderful chef's kitchen. Over here, this is interesting. So the garage is detached from the property in the back of the house, and we have this massively long driveway. So depending on whether you park in the porte-cochere, park in the garage, or on the side of the property, you do have ingress and egress through this French door. So coming down the French door, if we come down a little bit further, obviously this was intended to be your main point of ingress. So over here, I love this mud deck area. And what I really love is that they built this bench and it articulates so you can actually store items, or you can put your boots in there, whatever. Clothing hanger hooks here, custom cabinetry, and I love the downward firing illumination, really lovely. Good time also to talk about the drywall. Of course, this is level 5 grade drywall, wonderful. And now this is a really, really cool architectural design element. So if you remember a lot of the properties in the 70s, one of the first things that we typically do is you have those kitchens that have the drop-down cabinetry, which really segregates the kitchen from the rest of the living space. So typically the first thing we do is knock out those cabinets to open up the space more. Here, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I love that it's kind of an ode. So here we have a 13-foot custom bookcase that drops from the ceiling and floats. Really, really cool. And it purposely segregates the kitchen and family room area from the formal living room and dining room area. Really, really cool. And the functionality part of it is you also have this 13-foot long counter space, which will double as like a buffet return if you are having like a soiree and you wanted to put all the food there. So really, really beautiful, beautiful design. Now, coming over in this direction, obviously we have the kitchen. Here, we have a 10-foot long restoration hardware dining table. And this entire home, most of the home comes from restoration hardware. They are willing to sell this property fully furnished. Just one of those things you gotta negotiate. Now, talk about this. You can't have modern aesthetic design without having indoor-outdoor living elements. And so here, I'm gonna call this the Michael Jordan slider system because it's 23 foot long. So for non-basketball aficionados, Jordan 23, come on now. All right, so beautiful, gives you that indoor-outdoor living. I love that the house is basically built like a horseshoe and kind of encompasses this pool area, which we will get to a little bit later. One of the things that I really love is from this perspective, you can see the beautiful white oak ceiling. You can see the ceiling tray. And one of the best part of this specific area has to do with how they made this ceiling tray an extension of the media wall. So over here we have our media wall, but then the wall goes up to the ceiling and cantilevers over to create a ceiling tray. I just thought it's a beautiful and simple design element, and they executed this to a T. Now, over here for the display, this is a 96-inch Samsung display. So this just gives you an idea as far as the size and scope of this area. Now, beneath it, we've seen this a few times, much more rare, but this is neat. So here we have an 8-foot-long fireplace, and it's encapsulated, well, I shouldn't say encapsulated, but this is finished off with a vapor fireplace. So unlike your gas fireplaces, unlike your electric fireplaces, I love that this is open and you can even run your hands over it. And because it's vapor based, it also adds humidity to the living space. And you look, being in the desert where we don't have much humidity, this is actually a really, really pragmatic feature for a dwelling. Over here, I love that we have the symmetry. So we have this custom alcove built on both sides, perfectly identical, same cedar stone, floating cabinetry, downward illumination, 3D tile, just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful design. Now, let's come back to where we started and let's talk about this entry foyer area. So first off, you can see we have this 6-foot wide pivot door, very, very modern, basically what every remodel at this price range typically features. I love this porte-cochere. So they reimagined the porte-cochere, they added in the large format tile, and we even have blue pine slotted ceiling for the porte-cochere with recessed lighting. So really kind of contrasts, you know, the hard surfaces and warms it up with that pine look. And then when you first come into this entry area, we do have this beautiful marble inlay in between all of the oak engineered hardwood flooring. And once again, here we have another beautiful skylight right at the entry area. So again, you just have plenty of natural light, which I really, really love. Okay, now coming into the formal living room, beautiful area. Once again, over here on the right side, we have our floating 13-foot bookshelf. We have our beautiful white oak ceiling. Even the illumination for the ceiling, the recessed lights are really, really unique. Instead of having rounded recessed lights that are, you know, ubiquitous everywhere you go, here these are very unique. And if you're off axis, you can't even tell the lights are even on. So kind of another neat feature. Over here, nice cabinetry. We have the Caesar stone. We have all these floating shows. We have upward firing illumination here. So it kind of shows off your sculptures and your art. Really, really neat. Then let's come over to this space. So in the formal dining space, once again, we have a very similar marble inlay to accent the table, just like we saw at the entry area. I love that we have this wall with a bank full of vertical windows. This kind of shows off the driveway area, lets in a lot more natural light, beautiful chandelier and illumination. And then, you know, weather permitting, if it's a beautiful day and you're having a nice event, you can open up the double French doors. This leads out to the driveway and the porte-cochere. So really, really neat. All right, we've seen this entire wing of the property. Let's go on the other side of the entry. Let's check out the secondary bedrooms and then let's check out the primary suite. All right, now let's check out some of the secondary bedrooms. So coming into the first bedroom, this one's more situated to be an office, if you will. So I love that it's in the front of the house, perfect for an office. And what's kind of neat is they did this beautiful accent wall. So you have this floating shelf, you have this 3D tile, kind of like a wainscoting, and it comes all the way down to the 7-inch baseboard. So really, really neat. Let's come around the corner. Let's check out another of the secondary bedrooms. So this bedroom is all the way on the other side of the house. We do have the water heater over here in the closet. And coming into this bedroom, kind of some unique touches. So things that normally a developer wouldn't actually put in because usually you're not going to get the bang for the buck out of it. But even here in a secondary bedroom closet, we have a really nice closet. They even put downward firing illumination here on the rack for your clothing. Really kind of a neat feature. Love what they did over here. So we have an accent wall that features Venetian plaster. They installed a nice linear window, and we have this floating shelf so you can put any kind of collectibles or anything you want there. Even the bathroom is nice. So once we go into the bathrooms, we transition from the oak flooring into large format 24 by 48 inch porcelain tile. So beautiful floating vanity. We have the same Caesar stone. And then even over here, you know, you have to have at least one bathtub in the house for children and fur babies. Shout out to Deuce. But here we have a beautiful granite tile for the shower surround. We have an accent, and I love all of the shower niches here. So this shower niche has a little accent tile, and it has downward firing illumination. So again, it's just that those little extra finishing touches and attention to detail that kind of really make the property stand out a little more. Across the hallway over here, now we come into the half bathroom or the powder bathroom. Same large format tile on the floor, same floating vanity, Caesar stone, modern hardware for the faucet. And when you come in here, really cool, really spa-like. So beautiful tile, beautiful mosaic, linear drain, and again, really, really beautiful shower niche. Love what they did there. One more secondary bedroom over here. So coming in here, I love what they did. So really kind of cool. These two accent walls. It's very, very understated, but gives off a really, really cool effect. Coming into this bathroom, floating vanity, Caesar stone, large format tile. And over here we have more of a typical shower tub profile. So getting the job done. Now across the hallway over here, again, large format flooring, similar cabinetry, floating, very nice, but this is our laundry room. So of course we do have our electric hookup for the dryer and our washer perpendicular to the sink. So perfect orientation. Now guys, now let's talk about the primary suite in the back of the property. Now first off, over here to the right, this is an interesting closet. At first it kind of looked like a pantry to me because it kind of looks like a pantry, but really, really neat, very useful. But you're gonna see the closet, the real closet here in a moment. Now, coming into the primary suite, once again, we have our wire scraped white oak flooring. But now when you look above, we have the white oak accent on the ceiling, but perpendicular, they also added beams. So these are beautiful from an aesthetic standpoint, really gives it a really cool feel to it. Over here on the right, we do have the slider door system. So this gives you ingress and egress directly to the pool. Very nice, great view. Over here, we do have our media wall. So we do have our linear electric fireplace, floating mantle, and we do have a 75-inch display. So really, really neat. Then down here, we have kind of a little kind of retreat sitting area. And again, we do have double French doors here, and this leads to the very backyard. So again, multiple ingress, egress areas. Love that they actually added a barn door here because this will allow some of the light diffusion and obviously the noise for someone sleeping and someone getting ready. But let's check out this bathroom because this bathroom is really, really, really wonderful. So first off, over here on this side, I love that they featured a really massive full-length mirror, so that's great to get ready. But we got to talk about the shower because this is really, really wonderful and maybe my only criticism for the entire house. So on both opposing walls, I love this 3D tile. Great accent, but also very understated. Love the shower pan. This is a beautiful, clean mosaic tile. Massive linear drain, and I love this landing. So this landing's the same Caesar stone as we saw on the counter surfaces. My one criticism that I would have, and you guys tell me what you think in your comments. Drew had a good opinion. He disagreed with me. The one thing I would do is move the shower control for the valves and the temperature from this wall over here to where you enter the shower. And the reason being, this way, when you reach in, you're not actually getting wet with the water while you try to control the valves. You can prepare the shower if it's on this wall. A lot of times you'll see it on an opposing wall, so that way you can prep the shower and not get wet. Drew said, on the other hand, if I wanted to change the temperature, I have to step out of the water over to this wall. So you guys tell me what you think. Does it make more sense to have it in a prep area since you have this landing, or would you prefer it directly under the shower head? Having said that, shower head, handheld. We do have our 6 body washers, and thank you. We do have a rainfall shower head. So this checks off all the boxes. And then over here, another controversial one. You guys tell me what you think. Here we have our beautiful modern bathtub. Love that they frosted the glass so you do have light, but you have complete privacy. And we have the same Caesar stone that encapsulates the entire bathtub. I'm old school. It's still weird to me 10 years later to have the bathtub in the shower Ashley loved it. I don't know what Drew thinks, but you guys tell me what you think. Do you love having the bathtub in the shower, or do you prefer that to have its own separate area? Now, coming over here, we have his vanity, and then we have her vanity, hers obviously being a little bit larger. But now let's come to the main event over here. Check out this closet. Of course, we have a custom closet. Love the linear windows, giving more natural light. We have the same white oak ceiling. Tons and tons of custom cabinetry. I love, in here we have a marble counter surface, riches this up a lot. We have a beautiful illuminated case for your collectibles, for your watches, and tons of room for shoes. This probably gets about 20% of my shoe collection, but we're getting there. All right, guys, we have now completed the entire inside of the dwelling. Meet me outside. Let's see what's going on out there and finish the tour. All right, guys, welcome to the backyard. This is passing through the Michael Jordan slider, 23 feet long, into this great backyard that's kind of situated like a horseshoe. Now, over here, this is the primary suite, so you can see the ingress and egress, and this is pretty neat. So this is a dedicated pool bathroom. So this has your vanity, your toilet, your shower. So if you wanted to rinse off before entering the property, you would come over here into this dedicated space. Now let's first check out this backyard area. So coming around this corner, you can see plenty of space back here. So whether you wanted to build a pool house, casita, add additional space, tons of you can do back here. Now, over here, let's talk about the pool. Very, very modern rectangular 90-degree pool. We have massive Baja shelf here with holes so you can put umbrellas. So if you don't need a tan like me, you can enjoy a little bit of shade. And I love that we have two Baja shelves, one on each side, perfect symmetry. Great opposition. And then this is very Blue Heron-esque. So here we have our quattrofinity, which is not actually a thing, but no one's ever told me what it is. But we have our quattrofinity jacuzzi, and I love how all the water cascades into this retaining water basin that leads right back into the pool. Really, really cool, great design. We've seen it a million times. Tons and tons of artificial turf here. So this is a great area for kids, for the fur babies. Love it, and very low maintenance. Now this is an awesome structure. So over here, we have this great covered patio right adjacent to the pool. Nice seating area, and this is really, really neat. So to keep things nice and clean, this television actually is recessed below ground and then deploys upon command on a remote control. What's even neater about this is this television display articulates. So if you want it facing this area towards the dwelling, if you had something going on, you could, or if you wanted to tilt towards the seating area, you can articulate the display that direction as well. So pretty neat, pretty functional. Now over here, this wall is actually part of the garage structure. So like I told you, you have a separate detached garage, and that's this structure. So here's your interior door if you wanted to go into the dwelling this area. Otherwise, like I showed you, there is another door just in between the chef's kitchen and the dining room area. Now over to the outdoor kitchen, we have refrigeration, we have beautiful marble counter surface, tons of storage. We do have a security gate from the garage and this massive, super long driveway area. And then coming over here, we have our extended outdoor kitchen. So we have our barbecue grill, we have our griddle function, and we even have a sink at the very end. And then I love this space. So like we showed you earlier, if we're having an event, you can pass through drinks. This looks right into the chef's kitchen. This looks right into the kitchen and the rest of the main dwelling. Just an awesome, awesome backyard. Just a great property. Guys, tell me what you think. What's your favorite feature of the house? Do you love the orientation? You know, again, this is something that's a little bit more unique. You know, we're not in a generic master plan community. This is very, very different. All these homes are completely different, and they've been remodeled in different eras. So again, I love to hear your comments. I always try to respond, but special thanks to Paragon, the developer of this property. They did an amazing job, and I love their vision. Special thanks to Laurelle for allowing me to film her new beautiful listing. Guys, please be sure to like the video, be sure to subscribe. There's more videos coming, but until that next one, deuces.